Hi, everyone. These days, many of us think the backup solution shouldn't be on top of the priority list, and even sometimes it's the least data center solution to invest in. Unfortunately, this may lead to learning how critical it is to have a reliable and robust backup solution the hard way. I witnessed an incident 2 years back, which I want to share with you. It's about a marketing research agency who had exactly the mindset of deprioritizing the data protection solution. So Maria was named the IT manager for that agency, which collects data from the market, analyze it, come up with presentations, insights, reports, and marketing plans for their customers. So obviously, their data is the main asset and it's the revenue generator for them. So when she joined, she decided to work on the tech refresh of some servers, storage, and build a new backup solution. Having the mindset of setting the data protection solution as the least important solution in the data center, she decided to design the solution on her own without consulting an expert while assigning a very tight budget for that. She was mainly focusing on four things. First, deploying a simple, user-friendly, and easy-to-manage solution. Besides having an additional copy, an offline copy, on tapes. At the same time, she was thinking of deploying the traditional silos without considering the technical capabilities or security features offered by those silos. And definitely, she was looking for the least expensive solution. As I said, she assigned a very tight budget for that, and she didn't ask for help from any of the solution architects or consultants in that area. So she had a meeting with the IT team in order to discuss the current workload, the critical workloads to protect, the required RPO, retention policies, and backup strategy in general. And they came up with the workload to be VMs, bunch of files, file shares, and databases. And 90% of that data was marked critical. Remember, this is a marketing research agency whose main asset is data. That's their main product and their main revenue generator. So the team agreed on deploying a traditional data protection solution with the silos without focusing on the security and technical capability of those solutions. So they agreed on deploying this design, which is a very simple backup softwares and proxies or media agents, writing to a very simple NAS storage, then taping out to magnetic tapes, which will be stored offsite through a third party which manages tape vaulting. It worked well for them for a year because nothing went wrong during that year. But a tragic day was waiting for them after 1 year. A ransomware hit their data center and all their data got encrypted. All databases, all files, even the VMs which were running the software and programs of the marketing research were down, were not reachable. All users were idle, doing nothing. The business operations got halted while the company was losing money. The board of directors had an immediate meeting in order to discuss and assess the current situation and see the available options to get out of that critical situation and end that outage. They had two plans. Plan A was based on restoring and recovering all the data from tapes and rebuilding the environment from scratch. Yet, it was a bit challenging for them because 40% of the backup on tapes was corrupted. It will take them at least 5 days just to restore all the data from tapes, then start rebuilding the environment. The RPO of the backups on tapes was almost a month because they used to keep only monthly backups on tapes, while daily and weekly were kept on the NAS storage. So the expected losses was $4 million. Plan B was just to pay the ransom of $2 million and the outage now and get everything back online. Those were the two options they had. In both cases, they were losing money, time, effort, and business because their customers started to lose trust in their data security and integrity measures. So they finally decided to pay the ransom just to get out of that critical situation and engage a solutions architect right away to assess the environment and redesign the data protection solution. The solutions architect assessed the environment thoroughly, raised some concerns, and pinpointed some other vulnerabilities in the design. Here's a sample of those points. There is no security mechanism against ransomware or even ransomware detection mechanism. There is a single point of failure, no redundancy for the storage. So they're writing backups to a single NAS storage. So it was a simple storage, a single one, not a redundant. The RTO was nowhere near the level which the business continuity plan requires. And generally speaking, tapes is not reliable media as it can be affected by many factors like the cell phone radiation, for example, because those tapes are magnetic tapes. So they are not a good media to keep your data safe for years or for a long time in general. Because, as I said, it will be affected by so many factors, resulting in having corrupted backups. And you cannot verify if your backups on tapes are corrupted or not unless you run backup and restore jobs on all tapes, which is almost impossible. Surprisingly, he mentioned that the total cost of this solution is high compared to modern solutions. And in this solution, network bottlenecks might happen between those silos, which causes the backup and restore operations to take longer than usual. Tape solutions in general are not a reliable DR solutions due to the low speed because the read and write processes are sequential. In addition to, it's not secured against any other thing that may affect the tapes, as I said, like the cell phone radiation. Finally, he recommended modernizing their backup solution to mitigate the current risks, have a reliable backup solution that meets the business continuity plan prerequisites. Rowena will now talk about modernizing the data protection solution.
Thanks very much, Pierre. I'm hoping that none of us end up in a situation that's that bad, though it does seem to be in the news a lot these days. So I'd like to take a little time now to look at how a modern data protection solution can address some of the challenges that Pierre has mentioned. More and more organizations are realizing that information is actually critically important to their business, and being able to manage data is becoming more and more important too. Data protection is actually a key component of your data management strategy. However, even with the best data management solution in the world, if you have a bad data management strategy, it will end up eventually costing you more money, as you simply will end up not knowing which data is important and needs to be backed up, and you'll probably end up packing up too much data. On the other hand, a poor data protection solution will limit your options and can prevent you from aligning your backup strategy with your business needs. So if there's one thing that I kind of want you to take away from this webinar today and think about, it's this. In your organization, are your recovery times and protection levels set by your business goals, or are they set by limitations in your current data protection solution? So if data protection is such an important part of data management, Why is it rarely front of mind for many IT organizations? Well, there's a few things to consider here. So backup, you can kind of think of it like an enormous elephant sitting in the corner of your data center. It's a huge amount of stored data that, to be honest, you rarely access. And it's so big, no one really wants to manage it. But you really need to be able to successfully restore from it under certain circumstances. And you need to be able to test restore as well as disaster recovery on a regular basis. However, the testing doesn't really provide you with any immediate reward. You're testing against some hypothetical event that may happen sometime in the future. And it's also usually, with a lot of established backup solutions, very time consuming. So often testing is sort of passed over or it lapses in favor of more pressing IT issues. And because there's so much data, backup environments are often ignored until there's an issue. And that's exactly when you don't want to find out you have a problem when you're doing a restore. The other reason no one likes to manage backups is because they can get incredibly complex, especially over time when you've had a single solution in place and you've added more and more functionality and your environment that you're protecting grows and grows. I've been into situations in customer environments where they're using legacy scripting for automation. And when something breaks somewhere in the environment, it's because of just a tiny change. So people get scared to make changes in case something breaks in the backup solution. Finally, there's no backup solution in existence that can actually successfully import backups from another solution. So if you want to change your backup solution, you're probably going to have to do one of a number of things. Either find a third-party service that can look after your long-term legacy restores, or you need to port your backups from your old solution to your new solution, which can be quite costly. So changing a backup solution is hard, sometimes scary, and it's often just easier to struggle along with the status quo. So, backups get progressively more and more unstable, often over time. So you get to a point where you have to change your solution. You have to bite the bullet and modernize. What can modernization actually bring to your organization? So I've compiled a little list here of a few things. It's not a definitive complete list. It's just a few things that I feel that modernizing should be front of mind if you want to modernize. So firstly, you can really simplify your backup architecture and the infrastructure that's associated with it. And that in turn is going to mean that you spend a lot less time managing that infrastructure. And of course, it reduces many of the capital expenditure costs. Many modern solutions are very automated, and they also have built-in AI now. So you can customize and create automation for what in the past has been, incredibly time-consuming manual tasks. Modern backup is born in the cloud era. So the most recently designed solutions are built with cloud environments in mind. They're usually fully cloud connected and cloud native. They provide you with a future-proof architecture that takes full advantage of cloud capabilities. Security, as per Pierre's story, is pretty high profile these days. So if data is your most important asset and you're putting it all in your backup solution, then having a secure backup solution gives you peace of mind. Backup products provide disaster recovery and business continuity capabilities, but now that cloud exists, cloud unlocks a whole new environment for your disaster recovery needs. Modern backup tools can open that door to utilizing private or public cloud environments. Finally, one of what I think is one of the more interesting areas of many newer data protection solutions is what they can do to help you with your business needs and your business tasks. If you think about it this way, your backups are a huge repository of data just sitting there. If you can take that data and have it work for you to provide insights into your organization's data, then you can actually get a better ROI on that particular solution. But at the end of the day, why do we really care about any of this? Really, it boils down to three things. All these capabilities work together to help you reduce the costs across your organization, reduce the time that you're spending managing your backups, and also help you avoid risk. So let's have a closer look at each of these in turn. So there's no right way for you to go about simplifying your infrastructure. There's plenty of options. For some organizations, completely outsourcing everything to a managed services solution is a great fit. And we're going to talk about that later in this presentation. Pierre has sort of done a very good job of talking about the complex infrastructure that many organizations face in this type of legacy infrastructure. And there's a lot of management and overhead and hidden costs that aren't immediately obvious that exist here too. So one of the emerging trends that we've seen in the past few years in backup that's intended to address a lot of this complexity has been the appearance of the hyperconverged backup appliance. So these appliances do all the work of a traditional backup solution, but typically have much, much lower management and a lot of built-in automation and AI. So some of the key characteristics that you find in these products are rapid deployment. Most of them deploy in 30 minutes or less. Once they're deployed, with minimal configuration, they can go out and auto-discover what's in your environment that needs backing up. So you can set them up in a way that you never miss backing up vital things in your environment ever again. They have built-in resiliency, load balancing, and data protection that you don't actually have to manage. They manage that themselves. They scale very, very easily, and they can grow to a massive scale if needed. And being newer products, they're built with cloud connectivity in mind. So, you have that capability. Lastly, appliances can be more secure, largely because they're a separate environment. And a lot of them are fairly proprietary and they have locked down access to the underlying operating system. So that makes it a little bit harder to attack them with ransomware. And they also offer features such as encryption and immutable backups. But at the end of the day, the main reason why organizations choose appliances is really to lower TCO due to the reduced consolidated footprint that they offer you and the fact that they have lower management requirements. So, one of the side effects of the appearance of appliances in the marketplace is that many established backup software vendors have also introduced sort of bundled hardware software solutions to help simplify the overall architecture in your environment. So if changing your backup software seems like a big task, it may be worth actually having a look around to see if your current provider has anything that will also help you reduce your management overhead too. So automation is very important. Automation is the key to offering self-service restores and other similar services to departments of your organization. It also allows you to respond faster to changing business needs and to lower the amount of effort that you need to do it. So, there's a lot of aspects in modern products to automation, and, we don't have time to do all of that today. So I'm going to focus on just two specific areas of interest. The first has been the appearance of policy-driven, sometimes called SLA or service level agreement policy-driven backup. Traditionally, in backup environments, scheduling backups was a very manual and procedural process, where you would have to, pick a backup window, pick a backup set, decide what time it's going to run, hope it finishes within the window, play around with schedules. That complexity has been largely removed in a number of products now, with simple policy-driven approach to backup scheduling that allows you to define what I would call a simple service level model for backup and assign those service levels to your workloads. So this allows you to approach backup in the same way that you would approach, say, selecting or creating a cloud service. And it even opens up the possibility for you to provide end users with some kind of self-service backup through those policies. So I've worked with a number of organizations, and I've seen organizations go from literally tons and tons of scheduled backups to as little as 3 to 5 policies that they have to manage to back up across their entire organization. That's a lot less complex and a lot less to maintain. The second thing I want to talk about is that newer solutions are frequently designed as API-first solutions. So APIs, or application programming interfaces, simply allow administrators to easily automate tasks and integrate with modern automation tools. A few of those I've sort of put on the bottom of the slide here for you to understand what I'm talking about. But you know, what does API first actually mean? So it simply means that when these solutions were designed and written, the APIs were written first, and then the rest of the solution was written using those APIs. So to cut a long story short, what it means to you is that everything that you can do in that particular solution can be automated. So in contrast, older solutions provide sets of APIs to allow you to do some automation. But generally speaking, there will be certain tasks that are very, very hard to build into an API. So those tasks will always must be performed manually. So cloud. Obviously, the newer the solution, the more it's built with cloud in mind. So the newest backup solutions, it's pretty much a given, are born in the cloud era, and it's an expectation that they're built with hybrid cloud in mind. So their restore capabilities usually include some sort of global search that allows you to search across not just what's currently on-prem in your solution, but maybe stuff that you've put in a private cloud or in multiple public clouds. And that's usually a seamless search experience. So regardless of where your backups are living, you can actually quickly locate them, identify them, and pull them down for restore. Similarly, they usually provide some sort of seamless movement of data, either from on-premises to public cloud, or maybe within a public cloud from, you know, different geographic regions to other geographic regions. So those sort of things are what we've come to expect. But let's also talk about cloud native, which is one of the points in the heading of this slide. So cloud native is probably what you want to look at in terms of capabilities if you have any cloud workloads that you're looking to back up. Back up your cloud workloads in the cloud with cloud native. So a cloud native architecture takes advantage of everything that we love about the cloud. The distributed, scalable, flexible nature of public cloud. So going cloud native means abstracting away from the many layers of infrastructure, the networking, the servers, the operating systems. Cloud native solutions provide more of what you can think of as a software backup service in the cloud. In contrast, non-cloud native solutions may include something like virtual hardware or software that's installed on a VM in the cloud. And they could also work to back up your cloud workloads. But in the end of the day, they're going to complicate your cloud architecture, and they're going to cost you in the long term more money because you're paying for that additional infrastructure. Also, if they're not truly cloud native, it's going to be harder for them to take advantage of new cloud features as they become available in the future. So moving on to data security. So, you know, we kind of covered a lot of that NPS story, and we all know how high profile ransomware can be and how damaging. In the last 2 weeks, we've seen both Garmin and Carlson Wagonly Travel attacked by ransomware. In fact, I have a Garmin device. I don't know if you can see that on the camera, but my Garmin app was down for 8 days before it was working again. Now, not such a big deal if it's a fitness app, right? But I know that there are a lot of people here on the call today, and you're all from different types of business backgrounds. 8 days to some of you may be a huge thing. So you know, ransomware is top of mind. And one of the things that we hear backup solutions talking about in regards to ransomware is immutable backups. So immutable backups are simply backups that once they're written, the contents of those backups can't be modified or altered in any way. So when we're talking immutable backups, we're just talking about an extra level of protection so your backups can't be attacked by ransomware. Newer enterprise class solutions today also have built-in ransomware and or virus scanning, which is a great second line of defense behind your frontline security checks. And in some cases, I've actually seen them detect ransomware before the frontline security. But, you know, I tend to say second line of defense. But I bring this up here because where ransom detection and backup can really make a difference is when you're attacked by ransomware and you need to recover. So built-in anomaly detection in your backup solution can allow you to rapidly identify at a very granular level those files and directories that have been attacked by ransomware and to determine exactly what you need to restore. So this slide is a bit of an eye chart. I call this the encrypt everything everywhere slide. So I'm not going to go into detail on this, but basically everywhere that you see a padlock on this slide shows everywhere where you should be considering whether your backup solution can encrypt data, because this is everywhere that your backup solution has control over your data and is either moving it around or storing it. Now, with hybrid cloud scenarios of today, encryption while you're moving data from on-prem to a cloud is, you know, an absolute given. You should be doing that. But there's just a lot of other places that you can consider whether you're at risk and whether you should be deploying encryption. And modern backup products usually have some software encryption or allow you to bring your own software, your own encryption keys, and will integrate with various leading key management solutions in the marketplace today. So choosing the correct solution from this perspective for you really depends a lot on your architecture and any existing security that you have deployed. So let's face it, we don't back up to backup, we back up to restore. So, you know, I've already mentioned global search capabilities, which speed up your ability to recover. Also, most solutions now offer instant recovery as a feature. And the best products out there today can recover VMs and entire databases very, very quickly, even within seconds. Appliances I mentioned here too, just because they can add a little bit of extra value to instant recovery by recovering VMs and databases to the actual appliance. And this removes any reliance on your production environment for recovery. It also means that you can clone backups on your actual backup appliance, and you can use those for other things apart from backup when you're not backing up, such as test, dev, and QA purposes. So a little bit more return on investment again. Continuous data protection, or CDP, provides close to zero data loss when recovering, and most backup solutions now provide this for at least mission-critical apps, if not databases. But what I want to talk about today is cloud instantiation, because upfront we said unlocking the cloud for disaster recovery purposes. So cloud instantiation is one of the keys for that. Cloud instantiation is the ability to automate the periodic uploading of VMs. So for example, after each backup to the cloud, and the automatic conversion of those VMs to cloud instances. So if you think of it this way, you can have the latest backed up version of your most critical VMs always present in the cloud, powered down, but ready to go at a moment's notice by powering them on if you have a disaster. It also is a model that greatly simplifies your disaster recovery testing. The final thing to look out for in products today is the capability to automate a lot of your DR and BCP processes, but particularly the emerging capabilities and in some cases existing capabilities to automate the failover to the cloud and for DR and the failover back to on-prem. And last but not least, let's look at the growing area of focus for backup solutions in the marketplace today. So remember at the start when we said that 90% of companies see data as a valuable asset. Well, as I said then, one of the things about your backups is that they hold all your company's critical data. Your most critical assets for your entire company are in one place, completely unsiloed and accessible. So why not tap into this pool of data to add additional value to your business? So on this slide, I've just listed, and these are just a few examples. Everyone's doing different stuff in the marketplace, but there's a few examples of what's available to help you with data management or also to streamline some of your business processes. In the next few years, we're going to see a lot more stuff coming out and capabilities in these areas as data protection sort of overlaps into data management. So that's all I'm going to talk to you about today, and it completes our quick look. I'm going to hand over now to Jason, who's going to speak a little bit about managed service solutions and some of the aspects of backup as a service. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Rowena. That's great. Very detailed and very informative. Okay, so basically I'm going to talk a little bit about managed services and the products and services we can provide. And just to kick it off, just to go over who we are and what we're about and the investments that we've made, basically. So CDW has a significant presence across Canada with 9 offices geographically spread, covering all of the major metros. We have a national operations centre with 40+ certified and experienced engineers located across both Calgary and Toronto, and a security operations centre with 20+ certified security specialists. On top of this, and as part of the 900+ co-workers we have in Canada, we also have 80+ solution architects covering all the technology stacks, including data protection, security, cloud, data center, networking, and much more. These architects are available to discuss and design solutions that solve your complex technical business goals. We've made a significant investment to build a professional and managed services business that's second to none. Across our engineers, architects, and sales teams, we have a deep level of knowledge and experience drawn from our thousands of customers across Canada and many more abroad. There is no right-sized business for us. We provide you with the same best-in-class service whether you're a small or large business. To us, it's all about the service, ensuring that you have exactly what you need to succeed. So let's talk about data protection just a little bit more. Ultimately, you want the right products and services in place that protect your applications and data, ensuring that you're aligned with your business's approved data protection plan. You all know this, but it's so critical that these 3 important metrics are well defined for each of your applications and services. From some businesses, we hear that they could survive a 24-hour or more outage, whereas others we hear that any outage at all would create and cause a huge financial loss. So every business has different requirements. So just touching on these metrics briefly. Firstly, the recovery point objective, which ultimately means how much data associated with each application can your business afford to lose. It's so important to look at it from that perspective because you can run a point-in-time backup and recover 24 hours later. That's a significant loss of data. So it's really important to understand how much data for each of the applications and services your business can afford to lose. Secondly, the recovery time objective, meaning how long can your business afford to be offline while that application and data is being recovered. And thirdly, the retention period. How long do you need to retain this backup data to meet legal, customer, and regulatory compliance requirements? These are important metrics that have to be clearly defined for each of your applications and services and signed off by your business, of course. It may seem simple, but data protection can easily become a complex task to manage across your environment and can be a huge burden and distraction for your team, limiting your ability to respond to your business. Can you confidently say that you can restore files from your cold storage or quickly recover terabytes of databases to ensure that your sales applications won't go offline? Can you recover all of your data from just minutes before your data was encrypted and locked by a ransomware attack? Can you quickly recover all of your critical applications from your data center to a disaster recovery site, ensuring next to no downtime, data loss, or connectivity issues for your co-workers and customers? Do you perform annual DR tests to ensure that you can successfully bring up all your applications at your DR site, whether that's another data center, a co-location facility, or a cloud target? Are you able to confidently prove to auditors that your data is protected and that you have a solid business continuity plan? Keeping on top of all of this can consume a lot of time and resources, but fortunately providing data protection services is exactly what CDW does day in and day out. Firstly, our best-in-class backup as a service product, providing our customers with a 24/7, 365-day-a-year managed backup service, freeing you from the operational overhead and cost of managing and maintaining a data protection service across your workloads. We'll manage your backup scheduling to ensure the optimal performance and execution of all your backups. We'll help classify your data and establish long-term data retention plans. We'll help you with cost management and your long-term storage requirements, whether that's on-prem or in the cloud. And on a day-to-day basis, we'll make sure that every backup succeeds and every restore is quickly responded to. And ultimately, we'd like to become your trusted advisor and evolve with you as your business grows. Secondly, we provide a world-class disaster recovery service, leveraging our vendor relationships and using the best DR products on the market to ensure you can remain operational 24/7. Our DR solution can provide a recovery point objective of less than 30 seconds, and in most cases, less than 10 seconds. That means less than 10 seconds of data loss in the event of a disaster, including a ransomware attack. We do this by ensuring that every block of data is captured in real time and replicated to your DR site, once again, whether that's on-prem, in a colo facility, or in the cloud. And we'll ensure that all your applications are up and running at your DR site within 2 hours. We'll manage your disaster recovery failover plan and execute it on your behalf if you experience a real disaster. We'll also manage an annual DR test for you and perform a non-disruptive failover into a DR bubble so that your team can perform application testing during business hours, ensuring that DR data replication and your production environment are unaffected during a DR test. We'll manage and update your DR runbooks and ensure all applications start in the right order during a disaster recovery. There's certainly nothing worse than experiencing delays during recovery. I'm sure we've all experienced that. And in addition, you'll have an account team supporting you to ensure that our services exceed your expectations and that your business is well protected. So where do we go from here? Data protection certainly isn't easy, but with our in-depth technical experience across all the tier 1 technology vendors and our large customer base, we have the knowledge and experience to provide your business with a best-in-class data protection service that can free you and your team to focus on the priorities that really matter to you and your business. It's important to note that we can also provide you with an assessment of your current data protection environment and provide you with recommendations and best practices around how to enhance the utilization of your current products or recommend alternative solutions. We've also invested in a data protection test lab here in Toronto, where you can come and experience the usability, the pros and the cons for all of the tier 1 backup and disaster recovery vendors and products. We'll run demos for you to showcase the products so that you can see firsthand how these products work, helping you make an informed decision. So reach out to your CDW account team, which includes sales and technical specialists who are available to you to discuss any of these technologies and services that can help you on your data protection journey. Thank you for your time, and I'll now pass over to Brian to discuss business ROI.
All right, thank you, Jason. I am looking forward to kind of taking us home. We've got a few more minutes here, so just real quick, if we go to the business ROI slide, this is the summary of what the team has been talking about. There are some really compelling financial benefits and return on investment benefits from modernizing your backup and data management solutions. So from the business intelligence and the legal hold, whether it's PIPEDA here locally in Canada or GDPR type requirements that you might have, obviously the lower cost on both the infrastructure side, on the management time, potential outages, and as Rowena did a really good job articulating the security aspects of data management. So when we think about helping our customers, sometimes it's not just with the solution, but it's articulating the ROI of the solutions. If you have challenges like that, please feel free to leverage the team to help you really clearly define what the ROI on this type of investment is. And then just to kind of wrap up on the why CDW, when we think about why CDW for data management, you've seen some of the team members today, but a dedicated team of data management experts, right? Jason went through a comprehensive look of the managed services side, but we also do have, vast portfolio of professional services to tie in with our data management solutions. The industry leading partnerships with all technology manufacturers. The size and scale of CDW does not just, take into account, the number of customers that we have, but it's really the partnerships that we represent, the one-stop shop that we are from a technology perspective. And you can see, whether it's, the public cloud providers, whether it's a traditional infrastructure provider, or whether it's a more modern, backup solution, we're born in the cloud organization. We have partnerships with all of the leading technology providers. Jason also mentioned the customer experience center or the backup lab. I would really encourage you, if you've got opportunities to do a POV or a POC of a new solution or just a demo, to really get your hands dirty with the different technologies. That's definitely available, so feel free to reach out. And then just to kind of wrap on the last slide here, I wanted to quickly discuss what we call our executive briefing center, and obviously right now with the team working from home, our virtual executive briefing center. So what that means is we host customers for 4 hours, potentially a day. We've done multi-day for certain organizations, but it allows our customers to identify some key topics or some key challenges or some key projects that they're working on over the next little while. We can customize, different members of the team, so of the 300 or close to 300 technical resources across the organization, we can find the right technical resources to help walk you through, some of these different areas. So you can see some of the different topics, right? Whether it's infrastructure security, hybrid cloud, digital transformation, or end user experience, you can see some of those subcategories. So feel free to reach out to your account team and engage on a virtual executive briefing center. It's something that we're very passionate about. We see a lot of value in helping our customers with these complex solutions. And with that, if we go to the next slide, Jason, wanted to, thank you. Take a deep breath. I know we covered a lot of ground there. I want to thank the presenters today. I know we only have a few more minutes, but we did receive a few questions. So maybe I'll ask the presenters to turn their cameras back on, and I'll throw these questions out to you. We did have one come in from Zahir. Rowena, during your presentation or your section of the presentation around some of the security topics that you were discussing. And his question is, what happens if your ISP or network is also affected by a compromise, and if you can't access the data from your office location? So maybe I'll pass that to Rowena, and here, and Jason, if you'd like to chime in as well, feel free.
So, so a lot of modern backup solutions today actually have some kind of cloud presence. And if you're archiving your backup data to the cloud, it is possible to spin up a cloud version of that product that can then connect to your cloud archive data. So, I think the question is thinking in terms of, well, I want to restore my data from the cloud down to on-premises. But the reality is you can spin up the entire backup solution in the cloud and pull that data out some other way, with the entire solution being located in the cloud environment. I think that might be the question that was being asked.
So
we can't hear you, but you're talking. Sorry, go ahead, Pierre.
There we go.
So adding to what Rowena mentioned, so the rule of thumb of all the backup solutions is always to have redundancy. So if you are taking a backup, we'll have an on-prem copy in addition to a copy on cloud, and it would be great if you have a DR side as well to replicate the backups from the main side to the DR side. So having that said, you'll be having 3 copies. So whatever happens to any of those sites, you can recover or even spin the VMs and your workloads on the other 2 sites.
Yeah, that's all right. The only thing I'd add there is, and I think this is what you're saying, Pierre, is that especially with the cloud native backup solutions that are coming out, they tend to have functionality where there's a lot of local caching for the most recent backups. So if you're in a tight spot and you've lost connectivity to the cloud, there's an assumption, so to speak, that long-term backups you may not need to recover in an emergency. It's the most recent backup. So there tends to be a caching of those, of the most recent data on-prem, and that can be tweaked, to a sort of length of time that's really good for your business.
Mm-hmm. So there are ways around everything, I think is what we're saying, depending on how you want to architect your solution. But certainly, losing one particular avenue for restore doesn't prevent you from spinning up other avenues to be able to do the same task.
Thanks, team. And maybe we've got time for just one more. So again, Rowena, you mentioned that global SLAs will simplify, backup scheduling and long-term data retention. I have many, many backup schedules in my environment, so too many. And can you explain how global SLAs will help me?
So, I didn't go into a lot of depth on that in the presentation today. So it's kind of a difficult concept to understand if you're coming from a more traditional backup environment. But SLAs can be very, very simple. SLAs can be as little as give it a name, give it how often you want to back up, and how long you want to keep those backups for. So they're more matched to your business requirements. So for example, as an organization, you might create SLAs for different departments of your organization. You might have one for HR or one for finance, or you might choose to create SLAs for different tiers of applications within your environment. So, tier 1 applications, tier 2, then development and test. And those SLAs, because they're very, very simple, can be assigned to different types of objects. So you can assign them to a VM, you can assign them to a database, and the underlying intelligence in the backup solution understands that those are different objects. You're just telling the backup solution, hey, go and back up according to my business needs. I need this backed up once a day. I need it kept for 30 days, and then I need my monthlies kept for a year. Just go do it. So that's where the automation, the AI in solutions come into play. You're simply defining your business needs at a high level, and everything else underneath is taken care of for you. I hope that made sense. Do you have anything to add to that, Pierre?
Okay, well, with that, first and foremost, I want to thank everyone for taking some time today. We absolutely appreciate, how busy you are, how many different things you're balancing. If you're like, us, you're balancing, being at home, potentially kids, other different demands. And I think I would just leave you with, if there's any subsequent conversations that we can have, whether it's any of the team members today around data management and data protection. If there's another challenge that you're having within your organization, please reach out. We can do the one-on-one conversations, right? We can leverage some of the technology in the lab that I mentioned. We can set up an executive briefing. So please feel free to engage. We hope everybody is safe and hope everybody is managing the best that they can right now in a somewhat difficult situation. And with that, thank you for attending. We look forward to seeing you again soon, and have a great day.